Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to a very lengthy naval battle that gives me plenty of time to talk about three topics in total. The biggest one, the most important one, is I want to talk about the bots in naval forces. I want to talk about how to identify them, what we as the community can do against them, and certain other aspects. And then I want to talk about the ongoing crafting event with the very ironic title Overpowered, which shows a lot of cynicism by Gaijin. And then also at the end, I want to talk about the Zelensnyakov, which is the ship that I'm currently playing. It's utterly fantastic, and it is kind of a lot of stark contrast to the Helena. Now, Helena and the Moffats, they are bringing me to topic number one, because a lot of those ships on the enemy team and also on my team seem to behave really odd and strange. And it's them I'm talking about in particular. It also affects certain other ships, not exclusively them, but mostly it is Helenas and Moffats. And I do not talk about the AI ships that are the objective in encounter mode, such as the cargo ships, the T-22s, the Emtons, and the Admiral Hipper. I'm not talking about them. I also do not talk about the actual Gaijin bots that get thrown into the matches if the queue time is too long. These days there are not many of them around, at most three per given team, and that's also only late night. Now, in this event, I have mostly encountered only one per enemy team, and you can identify them because they are also using always the same ships, like the Russian ZRK-1, I think it's called, and then you also see that they have obvious names with no clan tags, and regardless what they do, they never accumulate any sort of score points. They're also not what I'm talking about. I'm talking here about players with actual accounts and all that stuff that seem to run bot programs. Now, right now, I want to highlight that I do not support this, and that I want Gaijin to ban those people for 30 days and them to uninstall those stupid programs. It ruins the gameplay experience. It really is stupid to have so many of them. It's like the majority of quote unquote players. It's not like one or two where I wouldn't really care because there would be kind of free food. But when the majority, like 3/4 of the enemy team, is bots, then that's just out of control. Um, I understand why people do this. I do not agree with this, but I understand it because the Moffat and the Helena, they are both premium ships with a very high civil line modifier. So if you send them out every day and they do not all that much, that's still significantly more than in terms of civil lines than you would get from tank battles and also plane battles. Now, I also understand it that it might be much easier to program a bot program for ships than it is for planes and tanks, and to also sometimes achieve something. Now, how do you identify such a bot? Well, not everybody that runs a Moffat or a Helena is a bot, obviously, but very often they do the same thing over and over again. They spawn and they charge, head straight along into the enemy without changing the course. They even don't turn their turrets. Like, they look like they are in the hangar, right? The rear turrets point backwards, the front turrets point forwards. It's nearly impossible to do this. But even if they start to shoot, the frontal firing group very often targets a different ship than the rear firing group. Even the turrets of the front firing group, the first three turrets, shoot at different targets. As a player, I don't know how to replicate this. Even if I go to the secondaries exclusively, for whatever reason, why ever you would do this, this cannot really explain how the turrets turn. Even then, the turrets turn differently. And also they very often beach themselves on islands, then reverse, then beach again, and so forth. Those are the usual bots. Now, what can we do against them aside from killing them? We can report them. We can just press T17 and then the attack the following player, and you know who you are actually shooting on. Then you can open with the tab the leaderboards, click on the enemy name, and report, and then just write it's a bot program because bot behavior or something. I don't really know how to word it, because if you really go through that very long text, how to describe it, it would take an eternity. Now, obviously, you could copy paste the text over and over, but then it would be by Gaijin framing or something, because of how recently Gaijin behaved when it comes to chat bans, etc. You know, it's Gaijin things. And that is also one of those parts that I'm really frustrated about. Now, another thing is, those spots are really inefficient. So if Gaijin doesn't do anything, I can profit off them. I target them, I kill them really quickly, and then I just profit, because they give the same amount of Civiline and RP than, normal players, actual players. And, I have a really good KD in whatever ship I play, so I can rack up a lot of research points, a lot of score points for the ongoing event, more on this later, and also Civilines. Civilines. It's amazing how much you can make per game if you're really willing to do this. So the problem is that with the current damage models, if the majority of botters, let's call them that, choose the Helena and the Moffat, well, I can say that I can deal with Moffats. Rear ammo rack, AP or SAP, and they detonate. It's beautiful. And, so I could kind of tolerate it. The problem are the Helenas, because they are so tanky. They can eat damage for days. It's nearly impossible to ammo rack them, so even if you punch through the barbettes and ignite the ready rack, that's not an ammo rack explosion per se. And they can, detonate quite a few before they actually go down. And they have some armor around them. At close quarters, yes, you can pen this, but at long range, don't count on this. So you have to sap the entire ship, and then HE it, and then when you have the broadside AP the side, but even then it very often doesn't go into the machinery except with plunging fire. The Helena is way too tanky. It's the most tanky ship that there is. There are other US cruisers that seem quite similar in terms of anti-fragmentation armor, in terms of side plating, like the Cleveland, the Brooklyn itself, but they are not quite as tanky. The Helena seems to be way more tanky in this aspect, and I can take out battleships at the moment with HE salvos from the Zelensnyakov or the Helena itself faster than I can sink a bloody Helena. It's frustrating and not really fun now. I know how to aim, I know how to lead, etc. And eventually I get them down. I had also games with 10, 13, 14 kills. No big deal. Especially when, you can farm some Moffats. Great. You make a lot of civil lines. But it kind of gets really repetitive. And also for a YouTuber like me, how can I really make exciting gameplay footage with this? The simple answer, I can't. People getting bored by this. And you can just play so many ships before it's the same battle over and over again, where you just farm Moffats and Helenas. And yes, you can just launch torpedoes with them, you can ambush them with patrol boats. It's a little bit of a very complicated tower defense game, if you will. But in all honesty, this shouldn't be the case. And so please report the bots, look at their turrets, look what they're doing. Don't report people right at the start of the gameplay, because certain people are just AFK when they get something to eat or whatever after a long grinding session. That can happen. So just report people when you're absolutely sure about this. The report should matter. The problem for me is I told Gaijin already some months ago about this, and Gaijin really hasn't reacted to this. I described them in detail the problem. So the only reason we as the community can act is now that we constantly report the bots, so that they slowly but surely disappear. And here's the big tip. If you are a person that runs such a bot program, stop it right now, deinstall the program, and just play normally. And I'm absolutely not sorry if I have ruined anything for you, because it's just not good. And that's the very polite version. And that brings us to the next topic, the ongoing crafting event, the overpowered event. Now, I like the title and I see the humor with all the pictures, Germany suffers, etc., upgraded with the duct tape, etc. It's all great fun. The problem is that Gaijin is never really addressing the problems that they are now making a laugh out of the way that they should be. The servers are in a disastrous state, and that's before I talk about Gaijin getting DDoSed. By the way, look at this cruiser when I shoot him with one complete salvo. That's a normal cruiser. One salvo. Thank you very much. And you know how much I pumped into the Helenas before. So that's the difference that I'm talking about. So the event. It's really grindy. And I'm playing ships here because of all those bots. I can rack up a lot of score points. And Naval Forces on top of this has a 2.2 modifier, which is crazy. And so you actually can come home from work, sit in front of the PC and play for a couple of hours to rack up the 75,000 score points. And so you can get the maximum per day. Now I know a lot of people are not really interested in this, but again, you don't play Naval for fun, you play it for the easy civil lines and the easy grind when you have a good premium ship, that is. That's how it is. Don't blame me. Don't try to explain to me the problem. I understand, but I'm not the one who's calling the shots. So the event is a bit fair, but the clicking, I tell you, when you have to assemble that stuff, the clicking is unreal. And also the madness on the marketplace, how much those vehicles, which are not even premium, are already getting sold for, is just strange. I know that in a couple of weeks there is the 10 years anniversary War Thunder, 10 years anniversary with a lot of discounts. A lot of people now want to get some Gaijin coins to spend it on then premium bundles that are reduced, premium account being reduced by 50%, etc. at the end of October, you know, around Halloween, as I've said in the last few videos already. Yeah, I understand. But my god, the duct tapes, the junior technician teams, and you know the other stuff, it's just way too expensive. And to be honest, it's already not as crazy as it used to be in the past. So I guess that the prices for those vehicles will drop quite significantly. And please don't get into the madness. It's just way too much as it is right now. So last but not least, let's talk about the Zelensnyakov, which is a great rank 4 battle rating 6.0 premium light cruiser for the Soviets, and it's definitely so much better than the Kerch. And I'm currently researching the Mikhail Kutuzov with it, which is a very similar ship. So it is at first glance absolutely not worth it taking over the Helena. The Helena is cladded in this infamous anti-fragmentation armor that Zelensnyakov isn't. The Helena has 15 guns, that Zelensnyakov has quote-unquote only 12 6-inch guns. The reload of the Helena is 6.0 seconds, for that Zelensnyakov it's 8 seconds. And so the Helena can spew out more shells. In a fight versus a battleship, the Helena is just better, because it just can rain scalding hail on those battleships with HE, and then they just pop their turrets. That's the HE bug or degrading armor plating mechanism. I don't know. It's just stupid. The Zelensnyakov can do this as well, just not as quick. However, the turret rotation speed is better, and you also have decent secondaries, the 100 millimeters. Now, the great thing about the 152 millimeter is that in their shell performance, they not just match the Helena, they're outright better. Because currently we are in the SEP meta. While the HE is great versus battleships, and the Zelensnyakov's 152mm stock HE round goes also with 950 meters per second, has a great accuracy, and also 6 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge. The AP really is better than on the Helena with 333 millimeters of penetration. Also the very high muzzle velocity of 950 meters per second and 1.69 kilograms of TNT burst charge. And at 5 kilometers it still has 226 millimeters, so you actually can pen the turrets of the Helenas together with the barbettes and make those ready rack ammo detonations happening, which are great and help in sinking them. But the one shell that really sets the ship apart from the Helena is the SEP BC round. 950 meters per second muzzle velocity and 5.9 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge with 172 millimeters of penetration at point blank range. Now that really hits hard. That really lets the Helenas feel the pain, and it is this shell that the Helena doesn't have. But if the Helena would have it, the Helena would be 7-0 outright. It's that great. And for dealing with Helenas and a lot of other ships, it's great, as you could see with the previous one-shot detonation of that, I think it was an Italian cruiser. It's fantastic. So the ship is great, but not as stupidly overpowered, but still very competitive. And it's just a shame that it gets so overshadowed. And that's it for me today, for today's battle. So we have talked about the bot infestation of naval forces. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your experiences fighting with and against bots? And how would you solve the problem? Am I right with, asking the community to report this and to not support this? Or do you think, it's down the drain anyway? And as usual, please give this video a like, give it a subscribe if you want to see more. For you, it's just a couple of clicks. For me, it means the world. And as usual, see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.